Today is a speaker series event, and we will have Angela introduce the speaker.
Hi, I'm Angela, and I'm very excited on behalf of ASES to introduce Courtney McColgan. So before we start, I'm just going to give a brief introduction about a few of the many things Courtney has done. So Courtney graduated from UC Berkeley with a BA in Economics and Chinese. But she's fluent in Mandarin, so. So during her time at Berkeley, she spent over 2 years in China doing extensive language study at Tsinghua University, as well as conducting microfinance research. Courtney has worked with several organizations such as the United Nations Development Program, the Chinese Academy of Social Sciences, Planet Finance, and she also worked at Morgan Stanley as an investment banking analyst. She is currently an investment analyst at Draper Fisher Jurvetson, where she focuses on clean technology. And Courtney is also the co-founder of Wokai, which is a person-to-person online lending program platform. And hopefully she'll be telling us a lot more about that today. So without further ado, please join me in welcoming Courtney.
Thank you so much for coming. It's really exciting for me. I think this is the largest group of people I've ever spoken to. Should we dim the lights a little bit, or is that perfect? Oh, I can't see. There we go. All right. So I'm trying to cover a lot today. A future outlook on Wokai that we haven't ever talked about thus far of our organization. So I'm excited to hear this feedback. So I'm going to talk about what is Wokai, how we started, how we developed, what we are today, and what we plan to become tomorrow. Starting with what is Wokai. This is Miss Wei Xiuxia. She is from Inner Mongolia. She's 56 years old. She's actually our 10th borrower. We recently launched our beta site at www.pilot.wokai.org, and we've started giving loans. This is actually her third loan with the microfinance institution that we partner with, called Shurfeng. It's Shurfeng in Inner Mongolia. And we partner with field partners who give loans to borrowers. So she has been a borrower with them for 2 years now. When she first started, she was growing vegetables in a greenhouse with 7 other borrowers, like this one here. And now she's on her third loan, $600 for her loan for the year, and she makes $600 profit. And she has her own restaurant. On the far right is Zhang Cheng. He's our director of field partnerships. He's local Chinese from Xinjiang, actually. And then Casey is in the middle. She's my co-founder, and she currently runs Wokai. So this is an example of the people who we help. So I wanted to delve in a little bit to the problem. There are 300 million people in China that live on less than $1 a day. That's equal to the population of the United States. And if that's not a large enough number, double that, and that's the amount of people who live on less than $2 a day. Over 45% of the Chinese people don't have access to finance nor to start small business. The reason for that is multifaceted. There's, in rural areas, people do not have property rights. If you don't have property rights, you can't get a loan from a bank. Most people do not have adequate education. Most of them end up leaving school around middle school age. Some make it to high school, but very few. Healthcare. When they make, the average rural income is $400. With $400, you don't have enough money to buy prescriptions or to get any adequate healthcare from hospitals in the area. And the last reason is financial services. Most people in rural areas do not have access to financial services to start a business. We're focusing on the financial services reason because we think it's the low-hanging fruit that we can help with that. So we look at the financial landscape for a rural individual. There's 3 main sources of finance. One are formal financial institutions. The big 4 national banks certainly aren't doing consumer finance. They have bigger things to focus on. We have the RCCs. RCCs were originally intended to be the rural financial institutions. Unfortunately, from my experience in the field and speaking with people on how they perceive the RCCs, is that in order to get a loan from an RCC, you need to know someone in the bank or you need to have someone guarantee you. And in order to have someone guarantee you, typically you have to have some sort of money. So those don't usually work out either. Then you can turn to the informal financial sector. So I spent 6 months with loan sharks in Zhejiang province for my Fulbright. I was shadowing loan sharks to understand their business model, to better compare that with microfinance. And it seems funny, but if you're someone in a rural area, you're looking for finance, loan sharks are a definite possibility. But from what I found out from my research, most of the interest rates are extremely high, anywhere from 60 to 90%. And the loan repayment periods are 3 months, 4 months. So in terms of obtaining an income generating loan you could start a business with, it's not really an option. 60% of the loans that loan sharks give out are gambling loans, and then 20% are actually educational loans. But very, very few income generating loans. And then if you look at government poverty alleviation programs, they're really not targeting finance, they're more giving philanthropy. And a lot of the money that they've given over the years has helped out poverty quite a bit in the past. But as we move into the future, their costs are really stretched with other infrastructure items such as education, healthcare, transportation. So it's really limited in size. So our solution is to support microfinance. What is microfinance in China? It's income generating loans for your everyday Joe in a rural and an urban area. Interest rates are 15 to 20%. They have a 1-year loan period, and individuals who borrow repay on a monthly basis. The way they obtain their loan is through group guarantee. So if someone doesn't have property rights and you have no way to assure their credibility, how are you going to give them a loan? What they do with microfinance is they take 5 or 6 individuals and they give each individual an individual loan. So that, with our smallest loan being $150, you give 6 people in a group, each one a $150 loan. If one person doesn't repay, the other 5 people have to repay the 6th person's loan. That's their way of ensuring people will repay. And thus far, it's been successful in China. They have the partners that we work with have 95% and above loan repayment rates. There's been 300 microfinance institutions established since 1994 when the first one was established. And there's 100 microfinance institutions active today, and over 70 million borrowers have been helped. So the reason we're trying to highlight the microfinance sector is that it's actually quite limited. 70 million individuals seems like a lot, but in comparison to the 600 million that don't have access to finance, it's not that good. And the reason for that is twofold. One, there's a lack of economic resources for microfinance institutions. They do not have a legal status in China. So what that means is, if they're not recognized as a legal financial institution, they can't grow like a bank does. A typical bank would grow through mobilizing savings deposits and loaning that money out, and then also through accessing capital markets to get loans. They can't do either of those. So as a result, they're left to access grant funding from foundations, from multilateral organizations, and usually that dwindles over time. So they're really strapped for cash and they can't scale. Second, there's really a lack of a microfinance community, or what we call a microfinance ecosystem. So you have a lot of individual microfinance institutions, the 100 that we mentioned, and they're scattered around China, but there aren't linkages across them. There isn't a cross-pollination of information and working together. So typically, you would have those organizations work together to try and advocate some sort of regulation within the government to give them more of a legal status. But they're really not working together because there's a lack of information flow. So we have decided to create a website and hopefully solve all these problems. So Wokai provides a user-driven microfinance website that connects contributors around the world with borrowers in China. This is how it works. We have 3 platforms. Our first platform is a lend platform. That allows you to connect with the borrower in a rural microfinance institution in China. So we work through field partners that select borrowers, and we transfer your capital to that field partner who then distributes it to borrowers. On our Learn platform, we're hoping to spread more information about China microfinance. We want every user to be able to upload, share, and rate content about China microfinance, whether that be a podcast, a video, some sort of article that they write for school, or if they're just blogging about visiting one of our borrowers. And then on our Connect tab, we want people to connect and talk about what they're seeing in China. So whether that be people within our chapters from Seattle to San Francisco to New York, or whether that be people who are Wokai fellows that are visiting our field partners. We want there to be discussions about what's going on in China in microfinance arena. So behind the scenes, how do these platforms work? Our Lend platform, the front end, Wokai posts a borrower's profile online. A contributor, which would be one of us in the room, you would browse the profiles, see who we want to fund, and give a minimum amount of $25. Then Wokai aggregates all of those $25 and distributes that loan capital to field partners in China.